Hi, and welcome to part 2 of our core series. This is really about form and technique to get the most out of your core exercises. And this is the last, well, maybe we'll do another, but not least of this series, because this is focused on the exercises that have been proven to activate your transverse abdominals. We talked about this in part 1. It is the deepest set of core muscles that you have that wrap around and stabilize you literally from front to back. So it comes all the way around. It's underneath those six packs, it's underneath those obliques, and it really is the main set of muscles that allows you to have balance and stability. So if you're not working this, you might look good, but you don't have that deep core strength. So I'm going to give you 2 exercises that, again, are at the top of the list in terms of activation. Now, these exercises are really designed for the transverse abdominis, those deep core muscles, and not necessarily, going to build up the other muscles. So what I would encourage you to do is to check out part 1, make sure you're incorporating sort of a range of exercises that target the different muscles. So the Pilates double leg stretch is number 1 on the list of activators for your deep core transverse abdominis muscles. So what does that look like? Holding those shins in to start. You want to make sure you're nice and balanced. The key thing here is going to be to continue to maintain that lower back on the floor. If you feel it coming off the floor, there are a couple of adjustments you can make, and we'll talk about that as we go. So to start with, you can pull those shins in, push that back down, lift up, pull the neck out of the shoulders and the torso. And what you're going to do is stretch. And again, if your back comes off the floor, lift those legs. Otherwise, stretch long and pull in. Inhale, stretch long. Arms can come slightly behind the head to really stretch. And let's do that 2 more times. Remember, if that back comes off the floor, adjust by going a little higher with the legs. And in. All right, so remember, that's number 1. So if you can do 3 sets of 12 to 15 of those, again, making allowances for where your strength is, that would be a great way to start to add this to your repertoire. Even if you started with 1 set of 10, start small, build up. The second exercise I'm going to show you actually comes in 2 flavors. It is the side bridge. And some people know it as the side plank. The 2 flavors are dynamic and static. What does that mean? Dynamic means moving. When we talk about stability and balance, it's really our ability to compensate as we're getting destabilized in every movement that we might make. We're kind of rebalancing. So dynamic means moving, static means staying. So you have a couple of leg options. This is going to be the entry point that you want to use. The key thing to remember is you're really trying to pull across in order to keep the hips stacked, keep the shoulders stacked, and make sure that that bottom shoulder is right above the elbow. If you have the shoulder out here, it's going to place more strain, or too far in, it's going to place more strain. So get it right underneath, almost like one of those poles that they drive into to create a good foundation. That's what you want this to be. And you don't want to sink into it. You want to pull up out of it so that there's a nice space between your ears and your shoulder, and that you have sort of nice form there, and that you're also, your posture, you're lifted. Because this is the posture that you want to maintain. So you want to activate those muscles that allow you to maintain it. So the legs are going to be, ideally your thighs and your knees are matching. So you don't have one knee ahead, matching. And from the ankle through the knee, through the hip, through the shoulder is one line. You don't break that with the hip, or, you're going to go straight up. So I'm bending to start, again, entry level, right? And again, you want to make sure you're here. Keep those shoulders up. Don't let that shoulder fall forward. You can put it here or here, and you're gonna dynamic, looks like this. Static, of course, holds it, holds it. So you're really pulling yourself away from the floor, lifting through the neck, not up here, but again, keeping that neck long as an extension of the spine, and holding in, holding up, okay? So you can either do dynamic or static, see where you feel. I'm gonna tell you 2 other ways. So that's the entry level with the bent leg. These are 2 other ways that you can begin to progress your side plank. So what do you have? You've got split the legs. So here the line is gonna go from the hips straight through the middle of the legs. So I like to flex my feet, but again, you wanna keep those hips nice and stacked, and you're gonna lift, lift, lift. That's dynamic, static, stays. Last thing, top of the chain, if you will, is to go ahead and straighten the legs. So again, you may have to accommodate to make sure you keep that nice foundation, and lift, lift, lift. So remember, keep those hips stacked, shoulders stacked. Now your ankles, knees, hips, shoulders are all one line, and you're going to move or you're gonna stay. All right, I'm gonna give you one bonus to add to it, which is, if you want to, you can add a little hip abduction. So what does that mean? That means, and you can do it from either position, as we talked about. So you lift and lift, down and down. Lift, lift, control that leg. So I don't want to see this. Whew. You want to control it as you hold that body up and down. So remember, that's a progression. You don't want to go there straight away, and you want to build up your strength and make sure that you have it before you start adding variations and load. But these are the ways in which you can really focus on having balance and stability. If you have any questions, please reach out. I want you to do the work and have the work for you. And that really is about form and technique. So hopefully this will give you greater stability, greater balance, and greater confidence in doing all of these movements. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.